Hi all my Ali Pallies, and thank you for joining me today. Now, a while back, about a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, who I've known since birth, who has got a similar condition. She's got the same condition as me, but I'm obviously not going to go into too much detail because that's her business and not mine. But she asked me on Instagram if I could do a tutorial about what to do when you're feeling very fatigued. Now, it's Sunday today, it's very hot. I'm really not in the mood to put a lot of makeup on, and so I thought, why not film this? Because I'm going to have a busy week ahead of me, and I'm probably not going to have time to upload a lot in the week. And why not just film this video, because it's going to be an easy one to do, and it's kind of what I do when I am feeling fatigued myself or I haven't got a lot of time. So let's get going, shall we? Okay, first of all, I've done my skincare. Okay, so I've cleansed and moisturised, and actually I've been going back to basics recently. So I used jojoba oil. I'm going to go into more depth at some later stage about this, but I used jojoba oil to cleanse my face, and I've used almond oil around my eyes, and I've been doing that for the last couple of days and going really back to basics with my skincare. And it really has helped in terms of sensitivity. Now, what I'm going to do, so I did put a bit of magic cream on by Charlotte Tilbury to keep my face nice and plump after all that. I'm just going to use some tinted moisturiser. It's tinted sunscreen. So when I'm feeling a bit fatigued, I don't want to be using a whole load of products. So anything that's 2-in-1 is great. And I do love this tinted sunscreen. You can get lots of different ones, and I'm not going to talk about specific products because this isn't really a video about you must go and buy this, it's great. This is about what I do, and I'm going to try and stick as much as possible to generics, but I will tell you what I'm using. So this is ultrasun 50 hyperpigmentation, and it's got some tint in it, tinted honey, which is actually a good shade for me. I'm not sure what this would look like if you were very fair, so test it out if you're very fair, but it's actually a good shade for me. So I would put my sunscreen on first. Now that might be all I would do in terms of foundation, but if I'm feeling a bit, what I tend to do next, if you can stop at that, because if you don't have hyperpigmentation, that is going to be fine. I quite like to cover a little bit more. So I'm then going to use Unisex Healthy Glow because it's got a little bit more coverage than this sunscreen. But otherwise, find yourself a good tinted sunscreen that's got reasonable coverage, and then you can do it in one step. So I'll just get my Unisex Healthy Glow, and we'll take it from there. So I'm going to use my Unisex Healthy Glow just to give me a little bit more coverage, because it does even out my hyperpigmentation. So you'll see that I concentrate it more around the areas that I've got that hyperpigmentation. Again, if you are, I've heard people from up to shade 3 in Charlotte Tilbury say it works for them. But if you're pale, definitely get a sample of it first, because if you're pale, it can make you look orange. But if you're medium skin tone and above, or if I shouldn't say above, because if you're very dark, it might make you look ashy. But if you're medium skin tone, this is good stuff, and it feels very moisturising as well. Okay, and then next, I'm just going to use some concealer. So I've got, you can use one concealer, or if you want to brighten under your eyes, which I like to do, I use a lighter one. I've got both Magic Away. I use a lighter one under my eyes, and then a darker one that is my skin tone around the rest of my face. And I just need to get myself a tissue. One of the reasons I sometimes don't use this when I'm in a hurry is what I've said to you before, is it's so difficult to get the lid off when you just put cream on your hands. And it still irritates me. I'm just going to get both lids off. I'm trying to keep this in real time as well, so that you can see it doesn't have to take you that long. Okay, so I'm going to use 6 under my eyes. Now I take this down not because I'm after a kind of, you know, one of those photographic looks, Instagram looks, or I'm trying to think of the name of the person that started it all off. I think you know who I mean, the Kardashians. But because that way it gives me a bit of extra coverage over my hyperpigmentation. But you could just put it under your eyes if you want to. It does throw light under your eyes if you do the triangle, and it doesn't have to look really severe. It depends on what colour you choose. So if you go too bright underneath, then it might look a bit overdone. But if you just go one shade down from your skin tone, it should blend in quite nicely. And the other thing that I do is, if I'm going to do that, I'll put some in the middle of my nose and on my chin and on my forehead, and that in that colour, because then it won't look out of place. The reason for doing that, some people say it's to highlight, but it also means that it then doesn't look like you've got 2 white triangles under your eyes. It actually looks like it's part of the natural shadows in your face. So that's why I do that. And then I'm just going to use shade 7, which is my skin tone, almost. I've always said that it should be a 7.5 in this shade. It's slightly too fair, but I can get away with it. And 8 is slightly too dark. I get red around the nose. I just kind of dab it away like this. And I'm just using my hands, as you can see. And then what I will do is I'll go away for a minute and let that sink in, so that I don't have to use too much powder to set it all. Okay, so I just let it sink in once I've blended it well. Let it sink in. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. Okay, now they say brows are really important. Obviously, if you're feeling fatigued, you don't want to be messing about. But even if you just have time to brush your brows up, you'll be surprised what a difference it makes. And also, if you've got little bits of BB cream on your brows, it's just going to get rid of them. I still haven't trimmed that brow hair. I'm going to do that this afternoon. I've got this big curly one. If anyone was watching me on Instagram, I still haven't got round to trimming it. I shall do that in a while. Okay, so can you see how that makes a difference? Just being able to just brush them up. And then you don't really have to, I mean, if you've got very scant brows, you might want to. But if you've got brows that are reasonably there, then you don't really have to do a lot more. They look fine. And then, this is what I do often when I'm in a rush to go to Foot Health. So I just need to find myself a brush. I did this on my live once. But if you didn't see it, this is what I did. And it's, so basically, my very old Film Star Bronze and Glow. And I've got a refill, but I'm determined to use it up before I start the new one. So I just take the bronzer, and first of all, I haven't powdered, but I've let make sure that you've let this sink in a bit, otherwise it's going to stick a bit. It should just grab your bronzer rather than stick to it, if you know what I mean. Otherwise you won't be able to blend it. That's why you wait a minute, go and get yourself a cup of tea or do whatever else you need to be doing, and then let your cream product sink in. Put a little bit there, put a bit around my neck, around my chest, like so. And then I don't even change brushes. I just take my brush and I squeeze it, and I do very roughly down the side of my nose with the bronzer, and then again squeezing the brush very roughly. I just take that and I put that into the socket of my eye like so. Okay, which is enough to give me some definition. Then I will take my highlighter, and again, just squeezing the brush so I don't have to go and look for a highlighter brush. I'm going to put some highlighter on my face, like so. Because for me, when I'm fatigued, I don't want to be looking for lots of products. Put some down the centre of my nose and across my chin, and maybe a little bit over the top of my lip. And then I get my finger, the best tool there is, and I will pat some on my lid. On the other lid, obviously. Take my pinky and press some into my brow bone. And again with my pinky. Excuse me a moment, this is really going to annoy me. I'll trim the rest of them later, but this one's got to go now. Thank you. Over you go. You've seen it live. The stray hair has been removed. Right. These are brilliant scissors, by the way, brow scissors. They're Real Techniques ones. Came in a little brow set. So I've done that. And you can build up this on your lids. And if you do it with your fingers just on your lip line, it's just going to make your lips look a little bit bigger. And then with my pinky, I'll take the bronzer and I'll just run that along the bottom. Now, if I'm fatigued, I don't bother with mascara or liner. I really don't. But because this is quite a minimal look, this is where I make the difference. So I will take any, it doesn't matter what shade I'm using, this MAC. No, hang on, I've got the wrong one. It's not, it's a gloss. Just hold on a second. I've organised myself now. So you need to pick a lipstick. Can be any lipstick, but it needs to be a bold lipstick, because the rest of your face is quite subtle. And if you're feeling a bit tired and worn out, you need to zhuzh up your face. And the other thing I would say is it works best if it's a cream lipstick rather than a matte one. And it needs to be one of the traditional lipsticks. I wouldn't do this. It doesn't work as well with a liquid lipstick. You can do it, but it's just a little bit more effort. And we're talking about effort-free here. Okay, so a cream traditional lipstick, which is bold. Now this one is called Girl About Town by MAC. And as you can see, it's a nice bold lipstick. Which I've just got on my teeth, but never mind. And then what I do is put a little one, and this is why cream is a lot easier to blend. Just blend it out with your fingers, like so. And you'd be surprised how many times I do exactly that before going to Foot Health. Perfectly acceptable. You haven't had to mess about with mascara. Of course, you can add any steps that you want to this. If you think, oh, I can't do without my mascara, then by all means do it. But I'm talking about what is the bare minimum that I would do in order to go out when I'm feeling lacking in energy. and I need to give myself a quick boost. You probably noticed in the video that I missed out doing some powder. I don't generally put powder on, because if I've left the cream products to sink in to my face, then it's okay. Now, you may feel like you need to put powder on, in which case just put the bare minimum on afterwards, or you can put it over your face. I would suggest either Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Finish powder, Daniel Sandler's I haven't tried, but I've heard it's very good, and the other one is the IT Bye Bye Pores powder. It needs to be one that's very finely milled, so it doesn't look too powdery, and it's not going to stick to all those cream products and make you look really kind of ghost-like. So go for a finely milled powder. Pressed one is fine. What I tend to do is I take the powder out with me, and so as I get oily, then I would touch up when I'm out. But I tend not to put the powder on straight afterwards if I can avoid it, because that's just another product to use. Okay, but if you do want to do it at the end when you've done all those steps. So that is my video for today. Hope you've enjoyed it, and any questions, let me know. Take care, have a good week, and I'll see you all on Wednesday for my live on Instagram on Ali M's Beauty. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends. Bye.